Welcome to another explainer, where we take some truly fascinating concepts and break them down. So, right now, you're watching this on a phone, maybe a tablet or a computer. And we usually think of the intelligence powering those devices, or, the intelligence inside our own heads, as being permanently locked away in specific materials, like silicon or biology. But what if the exact same processes happening in your brain right now could happen literally anywhere else? What if the physical stuff making up a thinking machine doesn't actually matter at all?
Okay, let's dive into a wildly surprising question that challenges everything we assume about how computers actually work. I mean, on the surface, the idea of your kitchen appliance taking down top-secret military encryption sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? But mathematically speaking, it's entirely possible. And the reason why is going to completely change how you look at every single piece of technology in your home.
Part 1. The medium doesn't matter.
To understand why your microwave could theoretically be a master codebreaker, we've got to talk about this concept called substrate independence. Now, I know that sounds like an intimidating phrase, but it really just means that computation absolutely does not care what physical material, the substrate, it lives inside of. The profound rule we're looking at here is that the act of processing information is completely divorced from the physical stuff actually doing the processing.
And because of this independence, information processing pops up in wildly diverse places. It's happening right this second in the squishy gray matter of your brain and down in the microscopic protein factories of your cells. But it's also happening in the electronic transistors of your cell phone, in those clunky old-school vacuum tubes, or even in mechanical computers made purely out of gears and levers. The medium changes, but the underlying computation, it remains exactly the same.
Moving on to Part 2, the universal computing machine.
Let's see how this builds into an even more mind-bending idea about what machines can actually pull off once they hit a certain level of complexity. There's this foundational mathematical proof showing that any computing machine that passes a basic threshold of complexity is fundamentally equal. We call this theoretical benchmark a Turing machine. Essentially, if a machine can follow a basic set of logical instructions, it really doesn't matter if it's made of neurons, silicon, or gears, it is functionally capable of doing the exact same logic as any other computer out there that is past that same threshold.
This incredible proof means that anything in the world that can be computed can technically be done on any capable substrate. Calculating the first 100 digits of pi, simulating a massive nuclear explosion, cracking a highly secure code, a Turing-complete machine can do all of this. So, going back to our microwave example, given enough memory and time, you could solely use the transistors in your microwave to crack a military code. The only catch here is that the math doesn't say how fast it'll be. It might literally take longer than the entire age of the universe, so yeah, your burrito's going to be freezing cold by the time you hack the Pentagon, but theoretically, the capability is absolutely there.
Which brings us to Part 3, the legacy of Alan Turing. To really grasp this immense breakthrough in how we understand logic, we've got to anchor it to the brilliant mind who first proved it. We are talking, of course, about Alan Turing. Turing wasn't just some theoretical pioneer. He actually played a decisive role in the Allied victory of World War II by inventing a device to break the German Enigma codes. But his life was honestly a tragic hero's journey. After the war, he was persecuted for his homosexuality and suffered a heartbreaking premature fate. We will honestly never know how far back the field of computing was set by losing him so soon. Thankfully, though, humanity has recently started to properly honor him. He was placed on the UK 50-pound note in 2021, and his story was beautifully captured in the 2014 movie The Imitation Game.
Part 4, defending machine intelligence. Before his tragic loss, Turing left us with a roadmap for the future. In his foundational 1950 paper on computing machinery and intelligence, he boldly argued that we shouldn't reserve the word thinking just for us human beings. He firmly believed that the term should be applied equally to what smart computing devices do and what we do. Basically, if computation is independent of the substrate, then the thinking is totally real, regardless of whether it's happening inside a biological brain or a metal box.
One of the absolute best parts of his paper is how systematically he dismantled the classic objections people had against machine intelligence. Take the theological objection. This was the argument that machines cannot think because God endowed only humans with that special ability. Turing had a fantastic rebuttal for this. He basically said, hey, if a machine and a human both possess the exact same physical capacity to process information and compute, then computing isn't an exclusive divine human trait. It's just a universal mechanical process.
And finally, Part 5, the blueprint for intelligence.
So, if computation isn't magic, and if thinking isn't some divine biological secret,
What exactly are the bare mechanical requirements for a physical medium to process information? Well, it turns out the blueprint is shockingly simple. Any substrate really only needs to do two things. Step 1, hold data. This just means taking on different physical states to capture information from the outside world. And step 2, generate an output. It has to trigger some sort of mechanism based directly on that captured data. That is literally it. Hold data, generate an output based on that data.
To kind of remove the intimidation factor from all this heavy talk about computing and intelligence, let's bring it down to earth and look at a machine you probably walk past every single day without a second thought. The humble thermostat, right there on your wall.
A classic analog thermostat is actually a perfect demonstration of these two simple steps. For step 1, the thermostat physically captures information from the room. It usually does this with a really simple bimetallic strip that bends more and more as the room gets hotter. That physical bending, that is the machine holding information about the room's temperature. Then, step 2. As that strip bends, it hits a trigger mechanism that generates an output, turning your heating or cooling system on or off based entirely on that temperature data. I mean, even something this basic is a physical medium computing information.
Which leads us to a pretty profound realization. If computation can happen on so many different media, and if basic information processing is just about holding states and triggering outputs, then intelligence itself is also substrate independent.
Intelligence doesn't require squishy biological brains to exist. That just happens to be the medium evolution used for us. Intelligence can emerge in the integrated circuits of a computer. It can emerge in vast digital simulations. It can emerge absolutely anywhere that computation is taking place to accomplish complex goals. The magic isn't in the material itself. The magic is entirely in the pattern of the computation.
So the next time you look around at the appliances in your home or the smartphone in your hand, you really have to ask yourself, if intelligence truly doesn't care about the medium it lives in, and we are no longer constrained by biology, are we just building tools, or are we literally building the next substrates for minds? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the world around you.